Welcome to Reality Hour. I am Adam Samuel. Today we are talking about week 4 of American Idol. The world is in a bit of chaos right now, but here we are going to take it down. We're going to just talk some Idol. So if you need a break from it all, you've come to the right place. Joining me today is my co-host Eric. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing good. I've never been happier that our show is not taped in front of a live studio audience than I am today.
Exactly, which I guess as we do every episode, we start with headlines. That is kind of the big headline that we're kind of coming into this episode, filming it at least. It's Wednesday afternoon when we are filming. So yeah, what's going on here, Eric?
The coronavirus is spreading like wildfire. Italy is shut down. Lots of TV productions are shut down. I'm probably not going to get to go to London, which sucks. But yeah, lots of things that are happening that are kind of scary and really kind of sad. And as it relates to our shows, it means that there likely will not be studio audiences at American Idol or America's Got Talent possibly for beginning rounds.
It's so sad because every year I go to California to go to E3, and one time I went to an American Idol taping, but E3 was canceled. Like the entire world is like coming to a standstill, and it's kind of really cool and kind of terrifying at the same time. Like
none of this is cool. I'm sorry.
It's just interesting to see how everything it's just slowly stopping. It's like the zombie apocalypse, kind of.
I hope not. I hope it doesn't get to that point. But yeah, so a topic that will be discussed in this podcast in the future is how are they going to fill the silence when contestants are not performing during auditions? During the live shows. And my hope, which I hope they don't do this, which means we're totally going to do it. They're going to have the judges' microphones on during performances, and the judges will be talking over things.
All right, I know.
What?
Go on. I'm sorry.
What were you gonna say? I was saying.
It's a bit off topic for what you were kind of saying, but I was saying Eric doesn't watch Black Mirror, but there's an episode of Black Mirror that that deals with reality, kind of singing competition shows or just general. Did you watch any Black Mirror, Eric?
No.
So there's this one episode that essentially features an X Factor like audition. And you have the 3 judges, but behind them, instead of people, you have basically like avatars from that are Mii's, essentially from like Nintendo. Like watching, I could kind of imagine like they're just gonna fill the audience with Mii's, and it's gonna be like a Black Mirror episode. Don't watch that episode, Eric. By the way, I know it's a critique of our shows, but do not watch that. Anyway, I have a bit of a controversial opinion on this. I don't hate it. I think it could be a really cool idea. Can you imagine, like, no, like, audience, like, just the judges, just singing?
Here's what I will say. If the judges are not mic'd, and what that means is we basically get clean studio versions of all of the contested performances, I am all for it. If the judges are mic'd and talking over everything, I will be so freaking livid that it will ruin the season for me. There's 2 ways it could go.
On paper, I love this idea. Like, it's so genius. It's terrible for the circumstances, but just think about it. Like, think how much of a different show it's going to be. It's going to, like, they're just going to be singing, and there's no audience cheering. It feels like a different, I'm excited for it. I wouldn't mind that for a twist in one episode, like an episode where there's just no audience, and it's just them and the judges, which I think is what the show should have been. It kind of reminds me a bit of a return to form.
I will say this: if this is how the Swaybots die, this is how the Swaybots die.
So this is how the Swaybots die, with thunderous applause. Some Star Wars. I think, loosely.
Okay.
Anyway, so as much as I wish that was the big headline going into American Idol this week, we had one other big news that neither Eric or I particularly care about, but it is still American Idol news concerning one of our judges, Katy Perry. What's going on, Eric?
She's pregnant. Great, let's move on.
Moving on. So, anything else for headlines?
Nope, let's start our deep dive.
All right, well, So this was week 4. I do first just want to say, before we get into the deep dive, correct me, we have one more week of auditions next week.
Correct.
So there's going to be one episode of auditions, and then the Hollywood week begins. But Hollywood week apparently is also going to be different, which we will talk about a little bit in a second. But it feels like we got a bit less auditions this year, Eric. Usually I feel like we get, in my nightmare like situation memories of what I think it is, I think it's like 6 weeks of audition and like one best of auditions, and then we get Hollywood week. But no, it's 5. I would have honestly been okay. Like, this could have been it for auditions, because for me, they are starting to get a little. I'm looking at my watch and not in it, and then like I'm not getting that engaged with auditions. They're for me the least exciting part of the entire show, honestly. Yes. So I'm like, let's kind of get this through. But
we pay millions of dollars for these judges. We have to use them for some reason.
Yes. But 5 weeks, I mean, it's better.
Too many.
I'm saying it's fine because I think it's worse. Like, I'm one of those people like, it could be worse. So the fact that it ends
here, could be worse. We could have 2 weeks of live shows and just all auditions after that. It could be worse.
Maybe that's what they'll replace the live shows with.
More auditions?
Yes. Just more. The entire show is auditions.
Oh, God. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's get into these contestants. So, week 4, kicking the show off, we have Danny LaRota. He is a dentist, and he talks about how he's excited to try out for American Idol. He's not really sure if he's going to kind of pursue his dentistry or the music. My advice, Danny, is stick with the dentistry. I mean, job security, like, don't take a chance. For people going into American Idol, I think it is the dumbest thing to go in expecting your life to be changed. Like, what's the saying? Like, go in with the lowest expectations and be surprised, like happily surprised if something works out. Do you agree with that assessment, Eric?
Yes.
All right. So he is performing Royals by Lorde, which, by the way, what happened to Lorde? She was like huge. She had a few songs and then poof.
That album didn't do so well, which is annoying because Greenlight was an amazing song anyway.
So what did you make of this performance, Eric?
I liked parts of it. Parts of it kind of bugged me. I think he has a good voice and no idea how to use it.
I thought it was passable. Like, it was good. I feel like he's not. I just wasn't blown away from it. Like, I came away going, it was all right. Not that memorable. Kind of just happened. I mean, it wasn't terrible. You don't hear this, like, Royal is kind of more of a, like, it's like an alternative beat. Like, it's very, like, groovy. He kind of switched it up, which I appreciated, but it just wasn't blowing me away. I was watching it going, That's kind of my impression. One big That's your name for the title episode.
No, it's not. It's How the Swaybots Die.
What?
How the Swaybots Die is the title as of now.
Oh, dear God. Any other thoughts on Danny, though?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's move on to, we got Lou Dog. He has this whole story. He does not know who the judges are. He comes in for his audition. He calls Luke Bryan Justin Timberlake. And what I would pay to have him appear on America's Got Talent and say that's a Simon Cowell. Can you imagine?
Well, honestly, I kind of jealous of him. I wish I didn't know who these judges were.
I tweeted. I wrote, like, I feel the exact same, but for the America's Got Talent judges.
Nope. The America's Got Talent judges are terrible, but they're way better than the Idol judges.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Don't even.
Yes.
Simon is terrible. Howie alone makes it like the worst of the worst of the worst.
You know what? At least Howie says something sometimes that's notable. That's more than I can say for Luke and Lionel.
Here's what I will say with the total voice crack. For the American Idol judges, I'm 100% indifferent. Like, I just don't care. They do what they're, for the most part,
they piss me off.
But for the America's Got Talent judges, at least 2 out of 4 of them I actively hate. So that's kind of like the American Idol judges. Yeah, they do their shtick, but it hasn't gotten too annoying for me yet. But America's,
really?
yeah, I will say that.
Lucky you.
What?
I fast forward through them and I can't stand them.
Well, my God, those AGT judges. Anyway, Lou Dog does not know either any of the judges, so he performs an original song, and I wrote. It's not terrible. It's very, very limited, and it's limited. That's just the word it is. It reminds me of like a voice you sing around a campfire. Like it doesn't have that much versatility. It's kind of very much in a lane, and it's in a box. It can't go that far out of it. And but I will say they've let worse people through. But he does not end up going through, Eric.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
Nope. Not really.
All right. That's what I got for Lou. Anyway, we move on to a montage with 2 contestants, one of which
montage this one
we are familiar with. So let's kind of start with the big name here, which was, as Eric and I have mentioned in previous podcasts, or at least I've mentioned, going into the season, I am pretty much 100% in the dark for results. I did know one name going into the season, and that was Michaela Phillips. So she appeared on America's Got Talent 2 years ago. She was one of the most like unenthusiastic golden buzzers of the entire show. It was Heidi Klum, I think. The audition was she's just like, hi, okay, I'm gonna sing now, and there was just no. Usually America's Got Talent auditions are like over the top with their golden buzzers. Like they go through the everything. This person had this terrible thing happen to her. This person, Michaela Phillips, is just.
I'm gonna sing, and I'm gonna sing well.
And I didn't love her on America's Got Talent. I thought she was.
I kind of did. I kind of liked her a lot. But I will say she's even better now, I think.
Here was my problem that I had with Michaela, that I still actually have now, is that she has a ridiculous voice. Like, it is the voice perfect for American Idol. It can do ridiculous things. But when she sings, it's more, it's like a look what I can do instead of actually feeling it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
at this point I'm okay with that, honestly.
It's like robotic a little bit. It's like she's just doing other things. It's ridiculous talent what she can do, but I don't think she's feeling it. And I kind of, even like on her America's Got Talent audition, she was singing Warrior by Demi Lovato, which is like a big emotional song. And even there, I didn't feel emotion. And here, I don't feel it. It's just kind of her showing off a little bit. But not, I don't mean that with like the bad way that showing off kind of comes along with. I just mean where it's just, I would want her to feel it more. And Eric is kind of really high on her, but I'm just kind of not.
We'll see what happens, but she's my favorite right now.
Tell me a little bit about Michaela, though. Why are you such a big fan of her?
Because the voice is amazing.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And very few people have amazing voices this season. You know, a couple do, but I think hers is the best. So.
Yeah. I did find it really funny in her intro package. She says that she actually auditioned for American Idol 2 years ago, which I think was before America's Got Talent.
Yes, I think.
So in her audition, she says that she auditioned, but it turns out that she was 2 weeks too young for the show. Like what she said in her audition, she missed the cutoff by 2 weeks for her age, like before she turned 15. And I was like, that is some bad luck, Brian luck. Like that is.
Oof. Well, Not terrible. Not terrible, Locke. She got a golden buzzer on America's Got Talent.
Well, we will see what comes of her in the future. But right now in the chat, if you were watching, let us know. Are you team Eric on Michaela or team me, who is the right person on Michaela? Let me know. Where do you stand? Are you a big fan of hers, or do you kind of think you're not as connected with her? So let us know. And on that note, we move on to the other singer in this kind of montage, Devin Alexander, performing Not in That Way by Sam Smith. His story is he grew up in a log cabin. Like, I used to have like Lincoln logs. Like I would build a log cabin. That's kind of like the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah. What did you make of this contestant, Eric?
Good, but I'll forget it tomorrow.
Yeah, I literally wrote like the same thing. I was like, he's solid. Nothing really for me to grasp here. It's just kind of, he's good. The main takeaway from this segment was Michaela, so much so that you just kind of.
And the thing that bugs me is that Michaela didn't get a full audition, because I would have loved to hear more of her. It's always sad when you moved on from Michaela and the next contestant you're talking about. And I like to say, I wish I could have heard more of a previous contestant.
Yeah, she's so lucky because this is American Idol. Like on American Idol, the montage of death isn't a bad thing. But like on America's Got Talent, on The Voice, montages of deaths are montages of deaths.
We've had several winners come from montages of death on American Idol.
So they're not really montages of death. They're just montages.
They're just, hey, we like this contestant, possibly, but we
which
don't
is what it should be.
Audition.
What it is here's the singer. We're probably going to show more of them later, but we just want to introduce you really quickly here, and then we'll check back in with them later. It's kind of just how montages should be done. Mm-hmm. Anyway, next up we have Moshine. How do I do this, Eric? Mushan? I'm going to go with, I'll just call him Mr. Wilson. So he is performing Slip Away. It's an original song. He is 23 years old. What did you make of this contestant, Eric?
Exactly the same thing I thought about Devin. Good, I'll forget it tomorrow. Your turn.
Yeah, he has this whole story with his father, and the show really goes all out with kind of they really shine a spotlight on it. And I just want to say, like, I don't like when the show does this. Like, the guy has a terrible story. I don't think it should be a part of American Idol. Like, I don't think someone's tragic story, because in like some kind of sick way, it's like gives them a leg up in the competition. And I don't think that should be what these contestants are about. I think you should stand on the merits of your talent and not on the show. This is not a gripe against the contestant. This is a gripe against the producers. I would rather let the talent.
Gripe against producers. We will get there later. Save this discussion for later on.
Do you think am I like making any sense here?
You're making too much sense. I'll tell you again, save this rant for later on, because we'll have a lot more to say about this type of thing later on.
I had this thought for a couple of contestants, as Eric pointed out, where it just, what it builds the show into is it makes it kind of, instead of just having the voice, you have the story. And now the story is so big of a figure that you're almost giving people who have normal lives a disadvantage. Like, it just, American Idol should be the great equalizer. Everyone, you come onto the stage with the same, you have your voice. Backstory should be so minimal, just so you get a person that, like, I would want the backstory to just be, I work at a dentist's place. Here's me drilling teeth. Ha ha ha. Look how much fun it is. I think that's the extent of what it should be. I don't think you should be having this person reveal this traumatic story, because that just, it feels cheap. Like, it feels like the show is just baiting this guy's story to get my connection. And I think that's, first of all, it's kind of like a dirty thing to do, I feel, where you're like exploiting someone. And I'm like, let him stand on his own talent. Don't make that be what this is. That said, his voice, it's all right. It's nothing that special. He is featured because his story is so powerful, and he comes in with his own piano, which I did find was a little strange. What did you think about that?
That's the only thing I remember about the audition. So good for him for doing that.
It's funny because they actually have a piano like right there. Like they have like.
You know what? Good for him. He did something memorable.
I think it was just because that he wanted the beats. Like he was playing like what on pianos you could put on like beats and it'll like keep going. But
anyway,
let's move on to Faith Becknell. How do I pronounce this, Eric?
No answer.
I am so sorry. I am so bad with names. Like it is.
And so am I. But the good news is that Adam gets to say the names. I don't have to do it.
It's why I will never have like a job with giant groups of people where I have to like address giant groups of people. Like for me, my nightmare is like being a teacher and it's roll call time. Like that is the worst situation for me ever because it's bad. Anyway, Miss Faith is performing Lady Marmalade. So she is from New Orleans and she does a performance. The judges kind of ask her to tone it down because she's really getting into it. What did you think, Eric?
She's talented. I don't think she's particularly amazing, but talented.
I mean, I thought she was good. I feel like this audition maybe didn't show as good as what she can do. Like maybe she's got some other stuff.
Let's hope. Yeah,
because she's solid. She's for the amount of time we spend on another contestant, she's kind of one of those that's like a little yada yada, like because maybe she doesn't have some tragic story. She's just a person, which is, but she's good. I mean, I don't really have that many notes. We kind of just skimmed over her a little bit quickly, but she's good, and that's what I got. All right, we're moving on. We get a double auditioner. We get Kate Luna and Alejandro Garrido, also known as. Don't make me say it, Eric. It's Space Cowboy. That's what he's going by. My God. They're performing Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper from A Star is Born. And they met at church. They've got a 7-year age difference, which is a little... I don't know. Is this too weird of an age gap, Eric?
Eric's not going to comment on that.
Is that a yes or a no?
It's a neither.
Okay. What did you make of these two?
She's better than him, but neither of them truly shown for me.
It's funny. I actually thought the opposite. I thought he was better. I mean, she had some wobbly notes. He was more consistently a B. She was low, got hit a peak, and then kind of went back down for me. But he was more consistent. Okay.
Well, neither of them were particularly amazing. Let's put it that way. They made it on air because they came in together and he called himself Space Cowboy.
Yeah, that's exactly. if they had auditioned as solo artists, and his name was just John,
neither of them would have made it. Yeah.
Neither of them. Not only would neither of them have been featured in the audition, neither of them would have made it to the judges.
Correct.
That's what American Idol is sometimes. We move on. We get some quick montages. I feel like there's something I wanted to say about one of these. Don't remember one. Really quickly, we had in this montage, we had this guy, Marcus. He totally looked like a cross between Nick Fradiani and Clark from season 14. Just a stray observation. If you've watched his audition or in the chat, let me know now if I'm crazy or you agree, because I think I'm right. I always think I'm right, unless I'm wrong. That's just how things work here. Anyway, next up we have Tavia Smith. She's performing I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. She comes in with this kind of random lady she says she met 2 days ago. Her name is Terry. She calls her girl TARDIS. And so they perform. Eric, this is one of those cases where they are very story driven. This is just the fact that this is just two random people, and they're crazy, and they've got a crazy story. And here we go. I did find it. I think he compares her. the girl TARDIS compares Tavia to Jesus and Fergie. And as soon as I heard that, I actually tweeted this. I wrote, "Whoa, we got a Houston, we have a problem." Because I was sold on them until that comment, at which point I was like, and yeah, it's pretty bad. What did you think, Eric?
I didn't watch it.
Come on, you gotta watch some of these. If I'm gonna suffer through the bad auditions, so do you. Damn it!
I suffered through the one that's coming up. I suffered enough this week. Okay.
All right. Well, They did have this weird little segment at the end of the episode where they like one of those. It reminds me of those shows like when it cuts to black and it has like little words where it says like what happened afterwards. So in this segment they're still like on the screen, but on the bottom it says like they've been performing as a duo since their audition 6 months ago, and they're doing all this stuff together. I was like, huh. Well, would you look at that? And that was kind of the extent of it. And I was like, huh.
Okay.
And now we move on to my favorite audition of the night.
Really?
Sophia Wackerman. On paper, this girl is everything I love in audition, kind of like wrapped up into a box with like a little bow. She's got a good personality. She's got a good voice. She plays piano. The Adam thumbs up of approval. So she is performing Water by Bishop Briggs. And I wrote from like the 10 seconds into her audition, I wrote, I love this girl. Like she's perfect. I enjoy her voice. It's rich. It's thick. It reminds me, like I said, of some other contestants, of like an 80s pop ballad like singer. You know, like one of those like rock, like borderline rock kind of big voice. Her story is her mother actually passed away 4 years ago. And Katy Perry actually starts to like pressure her to kind of take her mother's name as her like last name, which is kind of like a really awkward thing to do, like to use someone's like dead mother to kind of pressure her into like, it was just a weird segment. But I love Sophia. I loved her piano performance. I love this girl. She's in my top 5 of this season, honestly.
And for me, I am not sold yet. I like her. Not sure I like her tone, but I do have a feeling that she could be one of the ones that grows on me because she's definitely talented, and I like her personality a lot.
I enjoy her very much. She is a versatile performer. Like I see a lot of avenues.
I'm excited to see more.
The fact that she was highlighted like gives me hope. Like I could see this girl going deep. Like I could see her going. Like she's got the makings of it. She seems put together. She seems pretty calm, cool, and collected from what we've seen. I think we haven't seen the last of Sophia Wackerman. I think she's gonna be sticking around here for a bit.
We'll see.
All right. Well, only got what 3, 4,
5 more.
5 more. It's the final countdown. And on that note, we move from kind of very strong singers and talent to kind of the most shtickiest of the shtick. We have Jimmy Levi. I'm so sorry.
You're gonna be haunted tonight.
I am 100% going to be haunted because he comes from a family. They're like,
we see dead people.
He even says the line. I tweeted a picture of him as a kid, and it was the scene from The Sixth Sense of the little boy going, "I see dead people," because he says that line, which
The second I heard that line, I'm like, okay, he's here for the shtick, not because he's good.
Yeah, I could totally see him being like. He's one of those cases that's going to happen.
You know what? In Hollywood Week, it could be funny, though.
I was about to say in Hollywood Week, he's going to be like the basket case.
There's a ghost behind you.
He's going to be like going up to people. He is very, very much not ready for this competition. I mean, he has these like nervous tics, which I totally understand, where he just kind of like holds his hand up here. Like maybe it's just like I said, we've had this before with like previous contestants. Like Joey Cook talked about how she used to have like these little like urges to touch her hair. Like it happens for some of these contestants, but his is it's just so distracting. Like this dude is nervous like to the like very nervous.
You'd be nervous if you saw dead people too.
I would be nervous if I somehow found myself standing in front of the judges. I'd be like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
But yeah, his voice, I will say, good voice, but this show is not for him. He is going to be a hoot for Hollywood Week. Like we're going to be seeing a lot of him.
Yep. Anyway, next.
Before one last thing, we're going to be talking about a contestant in a second who I just want to jump ahead to. Zach Dobbins. I want Zach Dobbins and Jimmy Levy in a group together.
Okay.
No?
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever.
We move on to Olivia Ximenez. X's are always real. This episode with names, like, I apologize. X's are really hard to pronounce also. Ximenez. So she is performing Language by Tori Kelly. We come back from the episode and she is dancing with her entire troupe. And I gotta say, of all the contestants, this was the part of the episode where I was starting to go, this was the part of the episode where I started to lose a bit of interest. I was like, not feeling this one so much. What about you, Eric?
I like her. I don't think she's ready, but I see a ton of potential, and she has a good personality.
Yeah, I didn't think she was terrible. I thought she was solid. I was just kind of uninterested a little bit, like in like maybe it was just coming
from. I was not interested because I had a feeling after seeing it that she's not ready yet. She's not going to make it very far, I don't think. In a couple of years, she might.
I don't know. I don't have that many notes for her because honestly, like it was just, I don't know, maybe it's just more me, like a thing where I was just watching it going, it's all right, but I don't really have anything really to say. But for our next contestant, I feel Eric is going to have a lot to say. And I actually just closed the window on my phone, so I don't have her name. Marna Michelle. She's performing A Million Reasons by Lady Gaga. And on that note, I am going to hand off the reins of the rest of this to Eric. I will rejoin you for when we start talking about the next contestant. Eric, the floor is yours.
Oh, you could talk a bit about this one too. First of all, her voice is good, but not perfect. There are a couple issues. I still want to put her through to Hollywood, but that's not what the focus of this rant is. The focus of this rant is that this contestant uses a wheelchair. And the way I handled the segment, actually, the way the segment aired on TV wasn't terrible entirely. There were a couple good aspects of it because Marna, to her credit, gave them all of the sound bites they needed to make this perfect. And they still screwed it up. But she works, she goes on her own, she wouldn't give up her disability because it made her who she is, etc., etc., etc. And then we get to the social media presence about this video. And this is where I lose my shit. Because the video called her wheelchair-bound singer, which is not terminology that anyone in the disability community uses because your wheelchair does not, you're not bound to your wheelchair. A wheelchair lets you move around and do things. The wheelchair is what lets you be independent. So it's a wheelchair user, not wheelchair bound. And then it says she suffers from her disability, which she explicitly said she doesn't. And then they call her inspirational just because she has disability. Check. All the definitions of inspiration porn. And luckily, I wasn't the only one saying it for this video. Because looking at the American Idol video on YouTube, a couple people were calling out the video for being ableist as fuck. So I appreciated seeing some other commenters who made me feel like I wasn't crazy about this. And it just bugs me because she gave them everything they needed to make this perfect. And they couldn't help themselves. They fucked it up.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments on the YouTube page. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they actually edited the description.
Yeah, they fixed the title in the description somewhat. They still call her, they still say she suffers from, and they still call her inspirational, but they got rid of wheelchair bound at least. So they did the bare minimum.
All right. For the record, I think she's a solid singer. I don't think it's anything that special, in my opinion. I mean, I wasn't that blown away from it, but it was okay. The audition was showcased because of her story. Next up, we have Zach Dobbins. He is 18 years old. He's performing Misuse. He's from a small town. He's a good old country boy. He performs, and what did you think of this guy?
Not my thing. Talented, likable. Next.
Pretty much the same thing for me. I think he's going to be a lot of fun in Hollywood Week, honestly. I think he is going to be the Scotty McCreery. Like, he's going to be the straight man. Like,
if you can do Nuts of Wonder, then I'll be sold.
Oh, he's going to be playing like a straight man, like where everyone else is going crazy. Like,
Scotty McCreery did not play the straight man. Scott McCreery saying the words Nuts of Wonder.
Well, that's what I think Zach is going to do. I want him in like a group of the most crazy, like outlandish people in the show, like in a Hollywood Week, and he's just like straight face, like.
Okay.
That's really all I got for Zach. Next up, we have Ren Patrick performing "Dancing on My Own" by Robin, 26 years old. Yeah, this is another audition where we go all out with the story, which I don't like. I mean, her story, it's a terrible thing that happened to her, but I don't think it should be a part of your it's unfair to other contestants who are just normal people. They're being, in like some sick backwards way, the show punishes normal people, where you just...
Here's the excruciating thing about this one. I didn't watch the story, so I don't know what you're talking about. But if it's as bad as you say it was, it's annoying to me because even without seeing the story, she's still in my top 5 for the season. I thought this was fantastic.
I mean, she's a really good singer, but she talks about like how she was in like an abusive relationship, and like they go into it, and there was actually this one moment where I think she was at a party, she was fighting with her boyfriend, and Katy Perry walked by and said like, "Oh, you should dump him," like gave him like a look. And it was kind of this whole big thing that was built to it. And I just don't think it belongs on American Idol. I mean, I think the show, what it used to be, what I remember is sure we get like these contestants like 1 or 2 a year usually. Now it feels like
every contestant.
No, not every contestant, because if every contestant got it, I would say then it's fair. But it's
not fair. Not every contestant gets it, but a lot more than 1 or 2.
It's like it's a sticky situation to kind of talk about, but I feel it's important because it's just not fair, because it's like I don't even know. Like
and on that note, let's move on to superlatives, shall we?
All right, let's talk some superlatives, Eric. What do you got?
Let's just do top 2 contestants of the week.
All right, you first.
Michaela is my number 1. Ren is my number 2.
I gotta say, like, looking at the audition as a whole, not that great. Like all the contestants, like the name that I'm coming away with is I'm coming away with Sophia in number 1. For number 2, I might actually give it to Michaela. Like, that's what the episode is.
Well, you'd better, because if she wasn't in your top 2, you're wrong. So
it's funny. Everything that I say for Eric is wrong, but everything Eric says it's like one of those yin yangs where we just disagree. But yeah, I guess that's what I would kind of say. Like I said, as a whole, looking back, episodes kind of not that many big names kind of coming away with.
I will say this though. Overall, so far, this season is stacking up to have a lot more talent than last season for me. I am significantly more excited about this season than I was last season. Or maybe even the season before, honestly. I think this season has a lot of potential.
It's funny. I would actually say the opposite for me. Like I'm aside from my one contestant that I'm kind of really invested in, I'm not finding myself that invested like in these people yet. I mean I have people I like Julia and Sophia, but I'm not invested in them. Like
I wasn't invested in anyone at this point last year either.
No, liar, Jeremiah.
At this point, I was actually not entirely sold on Jeremiah.
Lies. I call lies.
Go look it up. I actually thought Madison was better at this point than him.
All right. But yeah.
I was wrong, but it took me a while for Jeremiah. Like, it took me like 2 weeks before he got sent home that I thought that the Child for would be my favorite.
Well, yeah. So I got my.
Which, by the way, I was totally wrong about that. He was the best one last year by a mile. Anyway.
At least I have my one contestant that I can still root for. Anyway, anything else for the superlatives, Eric?
Nope. Let's just. I could say the worst moment this week was the worst of the week goes to whoever did the original social media description. That pissed me off.
I'm gonna agree. I will ditto that, and I will also say that I'm Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Soapbox. I run the two websites, AdamSoapbox.com, AdamTVblog.com. I haven't updated either of them in almost a year. My God, one of these days. Where can we find you, Eric?
EricAscher.com, which I haven't updated in a couple months, but I will do that soon. Eric_Ascher on Twitter, which I update way too frequently, and bit.ly/Eric Lovitz on YouTube. Yep. I'm seeing Caleb tomorrow or Friday.
Which Caleb?
Caleb Johnson.
Oh, I don't like him. He robbed Gina Irene, who I think, in my opinion, of the seasons I've watched, is the most robbed contestant.
So I know who I'm not inviting onto the podcast, sadly.
Gina Irene, man.
I'm sorry. I like both of them. Both of them. I still like both of them.
All right. Well, another podcast in the bag. Eric, thank you for joining me. And yeah, Reality Hour. We will be back next week. And until then, peace.